has Uncle Vanya and my personal favorite, the Seagull, which certainly proves he had his fair share of experience with theater types and issues with his mom. This story is just one of his many satires, which showcased observations about Russians across the social spectrum. The status games here will no doubt resonate with anyone who's been in a showbiz relationship, or any relationship, really. Reading this story are a pair of actors we are lucky enough to have hosted on the stage at Symphony Space in the past, but never for the same story. He is known for series including Hannibal and The Path, as well as recent appearances on shows such as The Good Fight. She starred in Homeland and has played everyone from Temple Grandin to Juliet. And I'd be remiss not to mention their theater bona fides, including runs on Broadway for him, Venus in Fur, for her, Pygmalion. Now to perform He and She by Anton Chekov, welcome Hugh Dancy and Claire Danes.
He and she. They're nomads.
Only Paris is graced with their presence for months. They are stingy to Berlin, Vienna, Napoli, Madrid, and other capitals. In Paris, they feel quasi at home. For them, Paris is the capital, their residence, and all the rest of Europe is a boring, pointless province, which is best seen through the lowered curtains of grand hotels, or from the stage.
They're not old, but they've already been to all the European capitals 2 or 3 times.
They're bored with Europe. They've begun to talk about a trip to America, and will continue to talk about it until someone persuades them that her voice is not so splendid that it must be shared on both hemispheres.
It's hard to catch a glimpse of them. You can't see them on the streets because they travel in carriages, and they travel in the evening or at night when it's already dark. They sleep until lunchtime. They usually awaken in poor spirits and do not receive anyone. They receive visitors only occasionally at odd moments backstage or at dinner.
You could see her on postcards, which are for sale. On postcards, she is a great beauty. Although she's never been beautiful. Do not believe her postcards. She is hideously ugly. Most people see her on stage, but on stage, she's unrecognizable. White face, rouge, eyeshadow, and someone else's hair cover her face like a mask. It's the same at her concerts. When she plays Margarita, this 27-year-old, wrinkled, lumbering woman with a nose covered in freckles looks like a slender, lovely 17-year-old girl. On stage, she couldn't look less like herself.
Should you want to see them, wangle an invitation to attend a luncheon given in her honor, or occasionally given by her before they depart from one capital for another. Getting an invitation isn't as easy as it might seem at first. Only the chosen few sit around her luncheon table.
The chosen few include such gentlemen as reviewers, social climbers passing themselves off as reviewers, local singers, directors, band leaders, music lovers and devotees with their hair slicked back over bald spots, theatre habitués, and hangers-on who were invited thanks to their gold, their silver, or their bloodlines.
These luncheons are not at all boring. They're quite interesting to an observer. Dining with them once or twice is worth it. The famous among them, and there are many, eat and talk.
They are informal, neck turned one way, head the other, and an elbow on the table. The older ones even pick their teeth.
The newspaper men grab the chairs closest to her.
They're almost all drunk, and they take too many liberties, acting as if they'd known her forever. Just a bit more to drink, and they'd step out of line. They make loud jokes, drink and interrupt each other, always with a pardon, make high-flown toasts, and don't seem to care if they make fools of themselves.
Some of them lever themselves across the table with great courtesy and kiss her hand.
The social climbers, passing themselves off as reviewers, chat in a patronizing tone with the music lovers and devotees. The music lovers and devotees are silent. They are envious of the newspaper men, smile beatifically, and drink only red wine, which is often quite good at luncheons.
She, the queen of the table, is dressed in attire that is modest but terribly expensive. A large diamond glitters under lacy chiffon on her neck. She wears a massive, smooth bracelet on each wrist. Her hairdo is highly controversial. Ladies like it, men do not. She beams at all her fellow diners. She can smile at each person, speak with everyone, nod her head sweetly at each person at the table. If you look at her expression, you think that she's sitting with some of her closest and dearest friends. At the end of the luncheon, she gives some of them her postcards. Right at the table, she writes the name and surname of the lucky recipient on the back and autographs it. Naturally, she speaks French and switches to other languages at the end of the meal. Her English and German are comically bad, but poor language skills sound sweet coming from her.
Indeed, she's so sweet that you can forget for a while how hideously ugly she is.
And him? Le mari d'elle? Well, he sits 5 chairs from her, where he drinks a lot, eats a lot, is silent a lot, rolls the bread into little balls and rereads the labels on the bottles. You look at him and think that he has nothing to do, that he's bored, lazy, and sick of it all. He's extremely fair with bald streaks. Women, wine, sleepless nights, and traipsing all over the world have taken a toll on his face and left deep wrinkles in their wake. He's not even 35 years old, but looks older. His face seems to have been pickled in kvass. His eyes are fine, but lazy. Once he was not hideous, but now he is. Bowed legs, sallow hands, a hairy neck. In Europe, they gave him the odd nickname of Pram because of his crooked legs and strange gait. In his frock coat, he looks like a wet jackdaw with a dry tail. The diners pay no attention to him. He returns the favor.
If you are at the luncheon, look at them, that husband and wife, observe them, and tell me what brought them together and keeps them together. After you look at them, you will reply more or less like this.
She's a famous singer, and he's just the husband of a famous singer. Or, to use backstage jargon, he is the husband of his wife. She earns up to $80,000 a year in Russian money, and he does nothing, so he has time to be her servant. She needs an accountant and someone to deal with the theater owners, contracts, and agreements. She only spends time with her adoring public and does not stoop to deal with the box office proceeds or the prosaic side of her work. She has no time for that, so she needs him. She needs him as a lackey, a servant. She'd get rid of him if she could take care of things herself. He gets a substantial salary from her, and she doesn't know the value of money. And like 2 times 2 is 4, together with the maid, he robs her, fritters away her money, goes on wild benders, and very likely puts away something for a rainy day, and is as pleased with his place as a worm on a juicy apple. He'd leave her if she didn't